Palm oil is a high-profile issue in both Europe and Southeast Asia, becoming the focus of intense public opinion campaigns and political discussions. In March of 2019, the European Commission released and eventually adopted a Delegated Act of the Renewable Energy Directive II, which sets a new sustainability criteria on biofuels based on their indirect land use change, or ILUC, which is a relatively newer way of quantifying the ecological impact of biofuel crops. This criteria had deemed palm oil to be higher in risk than other biofuels and should be phased out quicker, spurring intense criticism from Southeast Asian producers like Malaysia and Indonesia. Following the adoption of the RED II, it had become apparent that the trade relationships between the EU and Malaysia and the EU and Indonesia can't be separated from the question of palm oil. This isn't the first time the EU has done something like this. In the early days of global palm oil expansion, the debate in Europe primarily looked at the potential health concerns associated with the oil. According to officials, it took 25 years and extensive academic research to address these concerns. More recently, the debate over palm oil has transitioned to concerns over environmental sustainability. Although the RED II targets a significant issue for the future sustainability of global development, it isn't clear that it takes the appropriate approach. Although supposedly based on purely environmental considerations, certain provisions of the RED II may be environmentally counterproductive. For example, since palm oil is set to be gradually phased out by the RED II, EU states are incentivized to fill the demand with alternative biofuels, mainly from soy and rapeseed. And the demand for biofuels doesn't look like it's decreasing anytime soon. From an environmental stance, this is problematic because alternative oil crops have far lower yields than oil palm, and thus they require significantly more land to produce the same amount of energy. Another primary criticism coming from palm oil producing countries, as well as environmentalists and academics, is that the EU has failed to distinguish between sustainably produced palm oil and the general stock, instead imposing blanket regulations on the entire commodity. Because of this, Southeast Asian growers who have sought to meet environmental sustainability standards will face the same market exclusion as those producing via deforestation methods. If European palm oil demand gradually decreases, global palm oil prices could consistently be depressed, encouraging other countries to buy more. For example, Malaysia has recently negotiated with China to import an additional 400,000 tons of palm oil, and it's increasingly exporting palm oil to developing countries to produce processed foods. The EU's concerns over palm oil's implications for biodiversity are genuine, with various studies describing the endangerment of species such as the orangutan, gibbon, and tiger. That being said, many environmental NGOs advocate for deforestation-free palm oil and no food crops and biofuel, not an elimination of palm oil from food and grocery products. In 4 decades, palm oil has become an integral aspect of the global economy. For Malaysia and Indonesia, the product transformed the ecological landscape and the financial market, it altered their positions on the international stage, and it accelerated the countries into a fiercely competitive industry. Now, palm oil has become a turning point in relationships between Southeast Asian producers and the EU. And the hostility towards palm oil is sometimes based on an oversimplification of environmental trade-offs. Malaysia and Indonesia could benefit significantly from greater cooperation with and from the European Union. As the issue has garnered a lot of controversy, it's become clear that both regions should aim to cooperate together towards a sustainable path forward. We'd like to thank the Frederick Naumann Foundation for helping us create this video series. These videos are part of our ASEAN Prosperity Initiative project, where we shed some light into the pertinent issues surrounding the region's integration. For more information on what IDEAS does and who we are, click the link in the description below.